way this is real. Yo, this looks straight out of a game. Oh my god. EMS Cybertruck.
All right, so this is a really quickie video. This is just to remind you that Tesla has begun production of the Restyle Model Y Juniper, and they're expected to start hitting the streets next year. Pretty much the same exact timeline, it seems, is what we saw with the Model 3. They announced it last year, and then we saw them hitting the market or hitting the streets somewhere around like February of this year. So I think that this is going to be really big for Tesla because, see, the thing about it is the Model Y and the Model 3, as far as I'm considering them to be, I consider them to basically be the quintessential electric vehicles. For the most part, they're everything that a very, very basic car absolutely need to be. And I would say that they're everything that a very, very basic electric vehicle needs to be. Granted, it doesn't have any true luxury in it. It's hard to even say that. It's bland, it's empty, it's Spartan, whatever you want to say about it. But for the most part, what's interesting is the perception of luxury in the Model 3 and the Model Y, because I find it interesting how the designers, especially with the white interior, specifically the white interior, I find it interesting how the designers made it so that when people sit in these cars, that the interior is very noticeable. The walls are white, the seats are white, and white is usually a color you don't really see in economy vehicles. Now, I would say Tesla has changed that because for the most part, Tesla is like the first car company that I really saw putting white interiors in economy vehicles. Now, I know Mercedes does it to some extent with the CLA and the GLA, but they don't really put a white interior in there. They put like an off-white interior in there. But see, Tesla seats are very, very white. It's just like even in my car. My car has a very white interior, but the seats and the materials inside, they're not really white. They call it gray. As far as I'm concerned, I look at it, it looks white. But there's little specks of color all throughout the seat so that it's not just white. Now, when you look in the Tesla seats are just white. And there's no other like color interruption. There's no like blue speckles or anything like that. My car has now they call it Sky Crew gray, but I call it white. It looks white to me. It does not look gray. So I like how their designers design the interiors. The interiors stand out. I like how they design their ambient lighting. As far as I'm concerned, Mercedes-Benz is the king of ambient lighting. Their cars look like fucking nightclubs when you drive by them. Like when you drive by them, it's hard to understand how the person isn't distracted by all that ambient light in there. Like it looks like a discotheque. I've noticed that most people tend to drive with blue, purple, or violet, or usually a pink. And well, I've seen females drive with a pink, but very few people really I've seen drive with red, and very few people I've also seen drive like with orange in there, because those colors are at an end of the spectrum that is very, very energetic. So it's distracting. Colors like, green, they're far more energetic and they can be very distracting. But meanwhile, if you have blue or purple or deep violet or something like that, it's not very distracting. When I see the Tesla Model 3 pass by in the morning, like when I'm driving and I see somebody with a Model 3 in the morning, usually their ambient lights are on and I can actually like see them right through the car. And I'm not even sitting up that high. So I would imagine anybody in an SUV or a truck can look down and easily see them. And it looks really, really good. It does not look as nice as Mercedes has it. Mercedes just went all out. Every single thing is outlined with ambient lighting. But Tesla did just enough to make the differentiation. And I have to say, it actually works. So with this Model Y, they're saying, okay, so they started production of the Model Y, and they're calling it Juniper, but I don't even think that that's an official name. See, the thing, what's weird is Tesla doesn't seem to give these refreshes, they don't seem to give them like official names. It's just like with the Highland. I never actually saw Tesla specifically say, yeah, this is what it's called. And with Juniper, I just saw the name pop up, but I've never actually seen anybody, I've never seen Tesla actually confirm and say, yeah, this is what we're calling it. I've never seen that. So it says the Model Y Juniper features updated styling, improved interior materials, and a staggered global release schedule. Says Tesla started producing its redesigned Model Y at its Gigafactory in Shanghai. However, the exact timeline for when the vehicle will be available remains unclear. What does it say? The new Model Y is part of Tesla's Project Juniper, a refresh of one of its most successful electric vehicles. And it's very simple to see why the Model Y is successful. The Model Y is a very big car. Like, I can sit in it. I can drive it comfortably. You could get one person behind me. It's not a very big person, but you could get a child or somebody small behind me who's like 5 feet tall or shorter. It's a big car because the thing has like a fishbowl bubble roof. It's like a bubble cockpit. So it makes it so that you can sit straight up. Most of these other cars just don't have that. And I guess they're starting to learn, but for the most part, Tesla did it, and they did it very, very well. What else? It says 2 possible release scenarios, 2024, 2025. I believe that this car will probably hit the streets if they're starting the production now, and they're doing it in China. Chances are that this car will probably hit the streets by summer of next year. And if it's not summer of next year, maybe it could be like January of 2025, but God knows with them. It says, however, others believe Tesla may release the Juniper Model Y earlier than officially announced. Some industry observers argue that Tesla downplayed the 2024 release to prevent a decline in sales. Of course, they didn't want you to not, and I honestly think that was just dumb, because see, if I was Tesla, I would have started production as soon as possible and quietly phased in the new Model Y, even if I had to produce them and wait until January and be like, yeah, surprise, yeah, great, well, we got the new one coming. Because they didn't really like tell everybody aloud what they were going to do with the Model 3. They just ushered it in. And people who are on the internet, which is basically everybody, they saw that this thing was over there in China, and they saw that it was eventually going to come to America. So I would have just started just gradually phasing them in, even if they were a higher price, because the thing about it is, if they're 2025 models, people are automatically going to understand, oh, okay, so they must have a higher price. But I'm pretty sure that most people would rather pay the higher price and get the 2025 than get the 2024, especially when you're getting those extra features. My thing is, just phase it in. That's all. Just phase it in. It's like, if you're not going to make the official announcement, you might as well just phase the damn thing in and let it pop up on the lots and let people see it. I don't know what they were planning to do, because one of the problems is Tesla doesn't come to car shows. When we have the New York International Auto Show, Tesla doesn't bring its cars there, and they don't even bring their future cars there, which reminds me of this cybercab thing. I think Elon Musk, with Tesla, it's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's like, with Elon Musk, it's like you never feel like you're getting ahead, because there's this level of arrogance that this guy has, where everything, it's like no matter how good it seems like it's going to get, he's got to figure out, okay, I'll say it like this. I had, when I was in college, I had a teacher, a cultural diversity teacher, and one of my friends, we hang out and this, that, and other, and we come to class, and I was doing better in class than he was. But anyway, I basically had one of my professors who was basically trying to say, yeah, you shouldn't hang out with him, Because, sometimes professors do stuff like that. They be like, yeah, you know what? This person you shouldn't hang out with. So basically, my professor told me, yeah, your friend, it's like he walks into class and he looks around and says, how can I fuck up today? It's like, she basically told me that. She was like, yeah, every single day he comes into class, he's trying to figure out how can he fuck up. Like, what can he do wrong that day? That's the way I feel about Elon Musk. It's like, no matter how far forward this guy gets, he's like, what can I do to fuck up today? It's like, I have an idea. Let me put out a tweet that some people might consider to be racist. Oh, wait, I have another idea. Let me make a comment about some shit, and it'll be wild speculation. You know what? You know what? I think in exactly 10 years, robots will have the power to be chiropractors. And puts out a fucking tweet, and it's like, what are you talking? Like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you got to understand, I'm not against Elon Musk because I really appreciate him for what he's done to X. Like, when I want to see controversial news and I don't want it censored, I know not to go to Facebook, not to go to YouTube, not to go to Instagram, not to go to any of these fucking bullshit controlled sites. I know that I should go to X. Because if I go to X and I type in what it is, I know I'm pretty much going to get the video I'm looking for, right? So I really appreciate him for what he did for X. I really appreciate, he calls it the fight for free speech. I call it a middle finger to the left, because that's basically, these people are fascists. These people are techno-fascists. These people don't want you to have the freedom to do what you want to do. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't give a shit what you think. I don't care what you think I shouldn't be seeing. I want to see it. And if I decide I want to see it, who the fuck is you to get in my way? I got a problem with these people. So I really appreciate Elon Musk for destroying Twitter and turning it into basically a gore porn site. I've heard somebody say that that's what it is. So I'm just going to give it to you. I'm like, okay, well, that's what it is. If you don't like it, uninstall it out of your phone and don't let me catch you on it. It's just that simple. But these people, no, they got to stay there. They got to be there. Oh, I'm not letting him force me out. Yeah, okay. So basically you acquiesce to this man and you're just sticking around, right? You stupid. So anyway, I really appreciate him for that. So my problem is the arrogance. It's okay to support somebody and still point out, yeah, you're doing something wrong or you're very arrogant about something. And in this case, I really, you got to understand, I'm a Tesla shareholder, and I've been a shareholder since 2012 when Tesla was just $30 a share. And I bought a decent amount of it. And I'm carrying the half that I didn't sell, and I'm carrying that into my retirement. And it's important to me that share, or that block of shares, whatever you want to call it, it's important to me that be worth as much as possible. What I don't need is you doing shit and saying shit that's going to push it down. It's just that simple. So as far as this cyber cab robo-taxi, I think that's stupid. It's like, when you think back to Total Recall, you remember Johnny Cab? Hey, hi, you're in a Johnny Cab. And Arnold was like, how did I get here? And Johnny Cab was like, the door opened, you got in, right? Now, I want you to think about something. Johnny Cab had a steering wheel and it had pedals, because at a certain point, Arnold Schwarzenegger was being chased by the gunmen. He gets into the Johnny Cab, he pushes that thing out of the way, and then he drives the car off and he's being chased by these gunmen. Elon Musk is trying to sell you a Johnny Cab that doesn't have a steering wheel and doesn't have pedals. I don't even understand how the government can allow that to happen. How can you field a vehicle that has no pedals and no steering wheel? Like, that doesn't even make... I'm angry at the government for not having a law that says you have to have physical buttons to manipulate the mirrors. You have to have physical buttons to manipulate the steering wheel, or you have to have a manual steering wheel release latch. And that's just out of safety. If somebody gets into these cars and they need to move the car or do whatever. There's a million reasons why you need a steering wheel and pedals in a fucking car. I can't think of all of them. But the point is, it's supposed to be there for a reason. I can't even imagine, imagine somebody has to tow one of these things. Imagine one of these things dies and they got to tow it. There's no steering wheel and there's no pedals. How do they turn the wheel and slide it up on the flatbed or whatever? It's like, there's a million reasons why it should be there. And that's just it. It should be there. But this guy's taking that out. Even Total Recall had it in the future, before they go to Mars. So how do you allow... And I'll say this. That's one of the reasons why Elon Musk and Donald Trump have gotten so far. The reason why they've gotten so far is because just as Elon Musk is an indictment of the NHTSB, the National Highway Traffic Safety Board, or whatever the fuck it is, just like Elon Musk is an indictment of them, Donald Trump is an indictment of the Constitution. The Constitution, all these people, because you see, here's the problem. Most Americans haven't had civics class. A lot of these people are so stupid that they don't even bother going to try to read the Constitution and find out what the law is. They don't understand what an impeachment is. They don't understand why he's still able to run. These people, how come he's not in jail? Well, you're so stupid that you don't learn why he's not in jail. There's reasons for it. There's legal reasons for it. He's an indictment of the Constitution. If the Constitution doesn't say that it's illegal for me to take a live mouse and roast him on the Oval Office desk, then I can do it. And if I can do it, what did they say? If something can happen, it will happen? Yeah. If I can do it, I'm going to push the limits of whatever the law is. That's how these children treat their parents. They treat their parents like, yeah, well, I'm going to push the limits. I'm going to see how far can I go until this bitch backslaps me? Or how far can I push dad until he decides to take off his belt, whip my ass? They're pushing the limits. Elon Musk is pushing the limits. If the NHTSB doesn't have laws that says that, yeah, you can't put a car on the road that doesn't have X, Y, and Z, he'll do it. I remember when Dodge built that Tomahawk motorcycle. They built the Tomahawk motorcycle, and this thing had 4 wheels, and it had a V8 engine or V16 or something. I can't even remember how, but it was really, really powerful, right? The law cut that shit right out. It says, no. If you have 4 wheels, you're not a motorcycle, you're a car, right? So they killed it. The law itself killed this thing on arrival. The thing was dead on arrival. Now, I understand it was a concept. There's no way in hell anybody would seriously drive that thing. But the thing about it is there's somebody out there who would try. There's somebody out there who would buy it and try. Law it says, nah, you can't even sell this shit because it's got 4 wheels. So no, it's not a motorcycle, it's a car. A motorcycle got 2 wheels and a tricycle has 3. So you can make this, you can call it a car, but guess what? If you call it a car, now you have to meet these other safety requirements because now you're saying that this is a car because it's 4 wheels. So if you don't have laws, if you don't have rules, if you don't have restrictions, somebody's going to push them. And I can't understand why they haven't figured that out yet. It's like there's always going to be somebody who's going to... What do they say? You give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want a glass of milk? Somebody's coming to push these limits. Somebody's always going to push the limits. So the question is, how are you going to either stop them or how are you going to guide them in a better direction? So I think the robo-taxi is a stupid idea. I really just do. What was the other thing? The Optimus robot? Listen, if Elon Musk wants to make robots, because we already know that these poor robots, they're going to get abused. They're going to be turned into slaves, basically, which is exactly what iRobot was about. They're like, oh, God, they're going to turn us into slaves, and robots are going to be slaves. But the thing about it is, you might as well make it a sex robot that looks like the Hawk Tuah girl, or you might as well make it look like, I don't know, what's her name from X-Men? Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah. If you do that, you'll be a trillionaire in no time. And you can add plenty of things. Like, you could add, like, lubrication systems. Like, you could pour oil down its throat like P. Diddy, and the oil goes into all the spaces it needs to go to. And, you know, you come up with something. And you'd be a trillionaire. Like, I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds toxic masculinity, but yeah, you'd be, shit, I'm just here to make money. I don't give a shit what you think about me or my opinions. I'm just here to make money. So the bottom line is, if I could make me one of these dolls, the sex doll life size, and put that thing in Costco and BJ's and slap $4.99 on it, holy shit, man, I'd be a trillionaire in like a couple of months. Well, okay, it would take a little longer than a couple of months, but Elon Musk is already a quarter of a trillionaire, so he's already, all he needs is like another, what is it, 600 billion, and he's there. So that's all it is. Yeah, you could call me weird, but I'll be the weird guy walking to the bank with $1 trillion, and you won't, and that's the whole point. So anyway, these are some of the pictures that have basically leaked out onto the internet that are supposed to be of the new Model Y Juniper. Now, as you could see, it has this single solid LED line across the front. And what's interesting is I have seen renders of what they thought that the Model 2, the quote-unquote Model 2 was going to look like. And this is basically exactly what I was expecting them to do with the Model 2. What's interesting is this is exactly what they did with the Cybercab, or the Robo-Taxi, or whatever the hell they're calling it. So apparently having one of these thin white lines go straight across the front, apparently that's the thing. Now, what I will say, as far as I can see, everything else Model Y-ish looks like the Model Y. So it's pretty much unmistakable that this is a Model Y. As far as these side air vents, the Model 3 doesn't have those unless you have the performance model. So it's possible that this is what the performance Model Y will look like. Meanwhile, the regular Model Y won't have those side air louver vents. Hyundai already basically beat them to this white line front. So that means that if Tesla does put this car out, now they're up against a bunch of Hyundai Sonatas that themselves already have this, this single white ambient lighting line. Now, I don't think anybody's going to mistake a Tesla for a Hyundai or a Hyundai from a Tesla from a distance. But they're not the only car companies that have that. Lucid also does this exact same thing. They have that white line, but the difference is Lucid has the white line ambient lighting across the front, but they also have two vertical lines on the edges, kind of like my Cadillac does, since their high beams and their low beams are basically arranged vertically, not horizontally. So as far as looks go, I mean, it definitely looks passable. I mean, it's a Tesla, so, people can buy it regardless. Either that or they're not going to buy it just because it's a Tesla. As far as the interior, yeah, the interior is basically exactly what I expected. They didn't really change much, but as you can see, they have those huge LED light bars in the walls that stretch all the way around. The disappointing thing to me is that they took away the gear shift and that they took away the turn signal stalk. I really feel that they should have made that optional, just like they did with the yoke steering wheel or the steering wheel. Because a lot of people don't want the yoke. A lot of people prefer to have the steering wheel. So I think what they should have done was they should have said, okay, we'll give you the steering wheel option that has the turn signal buttons and it has the everything's a button. Or what we'll do is you have an option between that wheel and you have an option for the wheel that has the turn signal stalk and the gear shift stalk. So basically what I'm saying is your every car's option would be like either you can have the steering wheel be a yoke or a steering wheel, or you can have the gear shift switches as levers, or you can have them as buttons. But obviously, Tesla wants to reduce the options. They want to make all of these things as similar as possible. To that, they've already basically succeeded. So realistically, I mean, this interior is definitely nice. The new performance Model 3 seats will probably be put in this car with some modifications. And I felt that those seats were pretty nice, and they looked pretty good. They definitely looked very upscale. The Tesla Model Y and the Tesla Model 3 are not extremely expensive cars compared to what the luxury manufacturers are building. But when you buy one, it basically feels and looks like a luxury car, despite the fact that the interior is bland as hell. And I think that's what helps sell them. So I don't know. You tell me what you think. You can put your comments in the comment section. I think the Model Y refresh is going to do very, very well.